this house here at Davos. Really delighted to be joined now by Iris Bohnet, professor at the Harvard Kennedy School, and you've written a new book on gender and what works. So tell me a little bit about some of the findings.
Thanks very much for having me. So what I'm trying to do in the book is focus on what organizations can do to de-bias how we hire, how we promote, how we evaluate people, how we organize teams, instead of trying to de-bias mindsets.
So how does that work? How do you de-bias an organization?
So let me start with a simple example. Orchestras in the United States in the 1970s realized that they had very few women musicians, about 5% at the time, and they did something quite creative. They introduced curtains and had musicians audition behind curtains. And they found that that increased the fraction of women on these major orchestras to 38% today. This is not just the curtains, but a big part of it is the curtains. And that's important because, of course, music directors and selection committees didn't think that they were biased. They were sure that they were just listening to the music and not kind of paying attention to who was playing the flute or the trombone.
That's extraordinary, but how would you put up a curtain in a company when you clearly have to interview somebody face to face?
That's exactly right. So, in fact, even in most organizations, we can include some blindness. In many countries, not in the United States, for example, but in many countries, people are still asked to attach a photo to their job applications, and photos are very bad predictors of future performance. But that's an easy thing to just do away with.
Right.
But then some technological tools, one is called Be Applied, for example, provide the technology to organizations to blind themselves to demographic characteristics of applicants. But we can do much more. I mean, blinding is one behavioral design feature. Another one that I've spent quite a bit of time studying is the power of comparisons. Anything that we perceive, anything that you experience, whether or not you like the coffee that you were just drinking or not, has something to do with the coffees that you normally drink. Everything's relative. And so when I evaluate a job candidate, then there's this little reference point, the stereotype in my head that I compare the person with. So to overcome that stereotype, or to debunk really the stereotype, what we've been showing was that if you compare two actual people or more, but two actual people, evaluators are much more likely to focus on performance rather than demographic characteristics. It kind of helps them calibrate.
I'm fascinated by this, and I was speaking to Valerie Germain of Hydrogen and Struggles about gender and how women are doing in terms of board representation.
Yes.
She was saying that last year actually had plateaued in the United States. Is that true globally?
For the United States, that's true. We've been plateauing for quite a while. The UK, in fact, has made enormous progress in the last 5 years, something that I think the UK can be very proud of. Following the Davos report in 2011, the UK was committed to increasing the gender diversity on corporate boards to 25% by 2015 without the introduction of quotas. And so what they did, in fact, is they used lots of behavioral design principles, lots of nudges, to work with search firms such as Hydrogen and Struggles, but also with the FTSE 100 companies, and were able to increase the fraction of women from 11% to a bit more than 25% at the end of last year. So that's quite a success story.
Really a success story. Iris, thank you so much for stopping by the Hub Culture Pavilion here in Davos, and I'm Edie Lush.
Thanks for having me.
Great.